Thank you very much, Brian. You did a pretty good representation, so you got the financial here. So I'll try to explain what is it, Dynacor, what we're doing, because we have created a different business model like 30 years ago. We've been in this for 30 years and alone in this. So it's pretty different from everything you may know today. So forward-looking statement. And here, what we are not a mining company. We're working in a mining sector. We buy ore from artisanal miners, and we process it, we extract the gold, and we export it. So we have one processing plant in Peru. We've been doing that for 28 years now. We have a solid financial scorecard, as you saw with the presentation of Ryan. And we're listed on Toronto Stock Exchange, market cap of $250 million. So now we have been operating in Peru since 1998. We began a very, very small production when the gold price was $250 per ounce. And over the years, the price has increased, we increased the production. So there we are today. So we are with an operation of 500 tons per day in Peru. And now we're preparing to expand in other countries, mainly in Ecuador and in Africa. So if you look at the capital market, we have 41.9 million shares today. The price is around $6. And fully diluted the same, 41.9. And 50 weeks high-low, it's between $4.20 and $7. And we pay a monthly dividend. We paid, in fact, 16 cents per share per year. We have increased that, as said Ryan, every year until last year, because this year we invest substantially in Ecuador and in Senegal. So we just keep the dividend there. And once these other plants are running, there we will begin to increase the dividend again. So if you look at the Dynacor in 2000, the price there, increasing shareholder value. Dynacor was $1.61 in 2015 and $5.87 in 2025. So it's a 13.8 increase per year. If you compare with the TSX, 9.2, and the Standard & Poor's, 8%. So it's a pretty good result. So we base here on 3 pillars of growth. Optimize the core operation. So this year, now we have reached the 500 ton per day capacity in Peru. We stay there, and now we increased the efficiency of the mill, decreasing the cost, increasing the recovery rate, and so it's what we're working there. And our leverage growth plan is to expand in Ecuador and in Africa, and we'll pursue strategic opportunities in other countries, in South America and in Africa. So what is the artisanal and small-scale mining sector? Today, we say that there are more than 20 million artisanal miners in the world, mainly in South America and Africa and in Asia, but the big chunk of that is in Africa. So 20 million artisanal miners, they produce over $65 billion in gold produced per year. We have them in 80 countries in 3 different continents, and they produce about 1,000 tons per year of gold. So it means it's close to 1/4 of the total gold produced in the world per year. So it's a sector very important. It's under radar because it's small-scale miners, but it's very important when you look at the total production. And this production increased about by 4 to 5% per year in this sector. So it's a sector which getting a lot of importance. So what we're doing in Peru, if you look at that, we have, if you look on the left side, we have offices through the country where we have people going to meet the artisanal miners, meet them, deal with them, and buy the ore, and we bring it down to the mill in the center-south part of Peru. So we have about 12 of these offices. So they come to the mill. The miners come to the mill with his truckload. We weigh it with him. We crush it with him. We sample that with him. We give him a sample. We analyze that. And in 24 to 48 hours, we're ready to pay the guy. So this way is pretty rapid. And we give him a sample when we analyze that. So the guy can go in another mill, have it analyzed, and compare with the results we have. So it's very transparent, and it's the way we get the trust of these miners. Because a small miner, the problem when we explain how it works, it's very simple, but you have to earn his trust. You know, because the miner in Peru usually will get ore, and he will extract the ore with mercury, which is about with an efficiency of about 50%. And there he has to buy mercury in the black market, sell his concentrate on the black market at a 20% discount. So at the end of the day, on 1 ton, having 1 ounce in that, he's going to recover half an ounce, and he's going to get maybe 25% of the value at the beginning. In our case, when the miner comes to the mill, we pay him already about 70% of the gold value. So once we begin with artisanal miners, he continue with us, and he will never leave. He will never leave because he can produce more doing just that, and he's earning much more money. So it's what we have been developing over the last 28 years doing that. And now we are working full capacity in Peru, and we are ready to duplicate this operation in other countries. So the rest is it's simple. The mill we have, it's a very regular mill. No special trick there. It's a carbon and pulse. It's a very standard mill. But the trick here is we have to know what kind of ore we can buy, because we cannot process any kind of ore. We have to know at what condition we can buy, how much to pay, because you may have 1 ton of ore with gold there, where you can recover 97% of the gold in this mill, and other ore you can recover just 75%, for example. You have to know that. So you have to analyze that very, very well. And the third point, very important, is we have to mix that. And we have to know how to mix these ore, because when you operate a mine, you have one kind of ore. You adjust your mill for that ore, and you operate that. In our case, we're buying ore from 800 different group of miners. It means 800 different mines. So there it's much more complicated. We have seen other companies coming in Peru trying to do that, and they all shut down after some months or a year because they couldn't control that. So here, Dynacor, we're not, as I said, we're not a gold miner. We are a gold ore processor. We have a very strong 5 years outlook, grown 17% cash since 2016. As I said, Ryan was being 15 years generating profit. So the situation is very good. And why are we not? We're not a mining company. We don't have that. We don't have gold loan streams or hedges. Multiple share class, we don't have that. And we don't have direct peers. So it has been very difficult over the years for investor analysts to analyze our company, because it's a different business model. But over the years, as we generated net profit for over 15 years, now we have a pretty good history. And now, after that, we're expanding from this year. We're expanding in other countries. And this is the first year to expand in outside Peru. So when we look at these numbers, we just saw that with Ryan. So it's there, it's the same. It's going very well. So this year we have a target of producing between 125 and 135,000 ounces of gold. And we plan to have sales around $515 million. We're already over that. So I wouldn't be surprised that would be over $600 million at the end of this year. Net income, we have 7.3 for the first quarter. Our target is 22, 26. And same thing for the rest. CapEx in Peru, and mainly the investment this year will be in Ecuador, and something in Senegal. So in Ecuador, we bought an old mill stock there. We just refurbished that this year, and we plan to start it at the fourth quarter this year. It's a mill of a capacity of 1,500 tons per day, permit of 1,500 tons per day, but it's divided in 2 lines. So we will work just with 1 line. It means 750 tons per day. We will start it at 300 tons per day. We expect to increase that to 500 tons per day in the coming 2 years. So in 2 years from now, we should duplicate the production we're doing actually in Peru. So we will have that in 2 different countries. And after that, we still have the potential to continue increase that to maybe 750 tons per day. We're going to see. And what is very interesting in Ecuador compared to Peru, it's in Peru we have a lot of local competitors. But in Ecuador, we don't have. The artisanal miners there, they have to go in a flotation mill where they have their mill process, and they get a concentrate. They get the concentrate and they have to sell it to an aggregator, which and they will export that to China and be paid 3 months later. So it means that the miner will sell his ore with a substantial discount, and because he's gonna the aggregator will be paid much later. So in our case, we're gonna buy the ore, which no other mill are doing in Ecuador actually. So we're gonna buy the ore and pay the guy right away in 24 or 48 hours, and we will apply about the same route in Peru. So the guy will receive very rapidly about 70% of the gold value there, what they don't have actually there. So we have been in Ecuador for many years now to doing a lot of exploration, and the demand is there. These miners would like to sell the ore, but in Ecuador actually you have quite many small mill. They are all flotation mill, and no one has the capacity to buy that. So we're going to be the first. So that's why we expect to be able to reach 300 tons per day quite rapidly, and after that being able to increase that to 500 tons per day in the next 2 years, which will double our actual production. So if this year we are at $550 or $600 million in less than 2 years with the actual price, we should be over $1 billion, which was our target for 2030. So it's going pretty well. Actually, in Peru, what we're doing this year, as I explained, we're just improving the efficiency of the mill, lowering the costs, improving the recovery rate. It's where we are because we have a mill of 500 tons per day, which we have increased the milling capacity almost every year for the last 15 years. But now we stay there. We better the operation and increase the efficiency of the mill. Now, the international expansion. So as I said, we are in the process to start a new mill in Ecuador, which should be started in the fourth quarter of this year. And over that, we are building a pilot plant in Senegal. It's a pilot plant. It's a plant of 50 tons per day. So it won't be a huge production. But in Africa, the miners, they work differently than in South America. So we wanted a pilot plant to assess all the economics around that. What is the production per miner, for example? We know that very well in Peru. But in Africa, it's probably lower than that. What is the average grade? What kind of ore we have? How much we're going to have to pay for that? So what's going to be the transportation cost? And so on. Once we have that, and after less than a year of operation, we're going to have all these data, and the objective is to build a mill of 300 tons per day in Senegal, and after that going in other countries there. And at the same time, this 50 tons per day plant will be like a showroom for us to show to the other government in these countries. Because all the countries where they have artisanal miners, they have the same problem. It began with the increase of the gold price in the 2000, where there was no rule around that, because before 2000 there was no artisanal miners in the world almost. And so it has been developed without rules, And all the countries, they find a way, they're looking at a way to formalize these miners. And the best way is to have these miners not trying to extract the gold themselves, but sell it to a mill well built like what we have. And this way the miner will earn 3 times more what he's earning doing that himself. The environment is going to be protected, but he won't use mercury. The mill will operate, pays his taxes, then the government, they have a control on the production, on the export, everything. So it's a way to formalize these miners, and we have been in contact with many different governments in the world. They ask us the possibility to go to build mills over there. So the potential there is huge, because in Peru you have maybe 150 different mills. In Ecuador you have more than 100 different mills, but they are very small and just a flotation mill. But in Africa, if you look at Côte d'Ivoire, for example, the production established by produced by the artisanal miners is seen over 50 tons per year. So it means that we can have a dozen mills like what we have in Peru, and there was not a single mill like us operating in that country. You have in this country more than 500,000 artisanal miners. If you go in Senegal, in Ghana. Ghana is the first gold producer in Peru, in Africa today. They have more than 1 million miners, and the production by these miners is more than, it's close to 100 tons per day today. So there is a potential there for 2,000 mills like us. And we're speaking just of these 2 countries, but you have Tanzania, you have Kenya, you have many other countries where you don't find this kind of mill. So the potential for expansion is huge. And in the coming year, we're going to have more competitors, sure, but we're going to be the first in these countries. So it's very exciting for us. So here you have a view of the Sveltlana mill in Ecuador. We're just rebuilding that. It should be ready by the end of this year. So as I explained, it's 1,500 tons per day. It's going to be started in October of this year. There, it's a potential timeline, as I've shown Ryan. Well, a planned upgrade in 2026 in Peru. After that, build and maintain supply network, increase to 200 tons per day in Ecuador, increase that to 500 tons per day in 2028. And our objective is for 2030 to reach close to 500,000 ounces per year, because we plan to build other mills in these countries, which I spoke about. So this is the pilot plan in Ecuador. You can see that it's pretty advanced. It's planned to start in July this year. It's going pretty well. We have some problem for the delivery of, for example, cyanide, because with what's going on in the Hormuz place, the traffic. Maritime traffic in the world today is very complicated, but we're gonna be able to start that in July this year. So on the environment, well, you know, we're working on a plan in Peru. We have this lower the total emission intensity there. We have this PX impact program too. We have created with our buyer, because we export our gold to a privately owned refinery in Switzerland, and their clients are the high-end watchmakers in the country, and they have accepted to pay a premium over the gold price, because we guarantee them that this gold hasn't been extracted by mercury, and it's traceable down to the miners. So with this, we have generated last year $1 million, which is invested directly in miners' community. It doesn't go to the miners, but in their community, in education and health. So now, if you look at that, if we just Peru, for example, today Peru is the first gold producer in Latin America. It's the second in silver, and it's the first today in copper. So they went over Chile. And the GDP 60% of all the export. So if you look at the bottom, for example, we compare Peru, Ecuador, and Senegal. If you look at the tax rate, it's pretty similar. Employees profit sharing 8% in Peru, 15% in Ecuador, but the tax rate is a little bit lower. So at the end of the day, it's about the same percentage. Repatriation of profit is something always we look when we go invest in another country. It's very important. It's okay in this country. State-free carried interest, no problem. Foreign ownership permitted, yes. And the legal firm ROIC, so you see that there. So it's pretty similar in this country. So when we go, we look for another country, we look for potential of production by artisanal miner. We look at the stability of the country, the security, and beside that, all the fiscal rules in this country. So in H1 2026, well, we just published our financial. Senegal, we're gonna have the first feed at the end of this semester. We're looking to be listed on the OTC QX pretty soon. And in the second half of 2026, well, you're gonna have the quarterly financial. Ecuador first ore feed in October, and delivery of production and financial guideline. We are actually over our guideline. So we're very confident that we're gonna reach our guideline for this year. That's it. Thank you very much.